It wasn't a call for evidence, it was a true bottom-up solution. And I will give you a quick sum up of the EuroPP market. The first point, if I look at the figures, D-Logic figures, in late September, the total amount of issues reached 5.6 billion euros. After 4.5 the previous year, 3.5 in 2013, and 3 billion euros in 2012. So it shows you that the market is improving gradually, but it is improving. So the second point is who is issuing in this market. In 2012, the beginning of the EuroPP market, most of issuers were large companies. But today it's no more the case, and you can see it with the average revenues of the company, but also with the average amount of the ticket issued. It was 550 million euros in 2012. Last year, it was only 65 million euros. Today, a corporate of about 300 million euros revenue, depending on its situation, it's possible to issue on this market. So a huge improvement on the SME market. The third point is the fact that if we look at the details for this year at the end of September, among these 5.3 billion euros, you had 2.8 billion euros issued by French corporates, but it means that 2.5 billion euros were issued by non-French corporates on the Italian, Spanish, German, Belgian corporates. So this EuroPP becomes more and more international, European. The first point concerns the average maturity. Once again, at the beginning of this market in 2012, the average maturity were only 6 years. So a bit better if you compare it with bank loans. Bank loans, the maximum maturity in general is 5 year bullet. Sometimes it's only amortizable, but if you compare 6 years with 5 years, it's better, but not a lot. And today, we can the average maturity of this market is 8 years. It's a key point for corporates to be able to have a better balanced equation between these investments and the debt. The fifth message concerns the typology of the issues. In 2012, a large majority, around 85%, were issued on the listed bond market. This year, it's more balanced between listed and unlisted market, 42–43%, and the market share of the loan market is relatively stable, around 16%. So all this was possible with the mobilization of all stakeholders, investors, issuers, banks, lawyers, and with the support, and thank you for the Banque de France, because with the support of Chambre de commerce et d'industrie de Paris, Banque de France, and Trésor, it was a true help, and thank you to trust in this working group to be able to implement 3 documentations, a charter and 2 other documents concerning the bond market and the loan market without any regulation. I repeat, without any regulation. And it's a key point, and I think we are able to improve this market still without regulation. So the first point, is the fact that all associations agree about the clear objectives. It was for investors, of course, the security. It's why you have covenants in this documentation, and you need to discuss between issuers and investors about these covenants. But for corporates, it's also very important to be able to manage the company. So the degree of these covenants must be well-sized to be able to manage the company. So security for investors, flexibility for issuers. And we managed to discuss together due to the fact that the target was totally clear. Another point concerns the statistics. You must have in mind that before having this market for a mid-cap, the only solution were to knock on the doors of banks and to ask a price. But the problem is the bank loan is not a market. Why? Because the price is not depending on the quality of the credit. It depends on the risk-weighted asset, and Bruno can explain better than me exactly what is it. But it means that the corporate is totally blind. He don't know what is the calculation made by each bank about this risk-weighted asset. The second point is the fact that the banks are sometimes making bets on the fact that they can have some side business. So you don't have a clear price, and corporate are not able to evaluate very clearly what is the price. Today, for them, it is possible to have a market. It's not a perfect market, but it is a market. So we absolutely advise corporates, advise at the AFTE level issuers to give a minimum of figures concerning their issue. It's key to be able to follow statistically this market. Another point is the fact that we don't believe now, at this stage, because it is a too young market, to have a rated market. We don't want a rating for several reasons, but the main reason is the fact that we want to preserve the relationship between issuers and investors. It's a key point to be able to have in the front of the corporate investors who are able to take their own risk without without any possibility to say the rating was done by a rating agency and it was good. No. So the convergence, the European convergence, of course, it's a good idea, but it must not be done in a hurry. It should take place naturally because it's a very, very young market. And we need today still flexibility, a minimum of flexibility in the documentation. I have a regret concerning the regulation, because I think it's difficult for us to have a clear idea without having enough studies concerning the impact of the lack of diversity, of the lack of the diversification in terms of financing on the recovery. We saw that it's easier for the Federal Reserve to improve the growth with a decrease of interest rates. What is the impact of the fact that in the US corporates have the capability to finance with 80% on the market? And I think it would be very interesting to have this study before launching new regulation, and perhaps having a clear target. Is it 50%? Is it 60-40? I don't know. But we have no indication concerning this a clear target. So a clear and a good example of a true bottom-up process. It's not a bottom-up process after having putting in place regulation and after asking what is wrong or what is right. That is a true bottom-up process.